because Mr. West, aka Ye is experiencing some major fallout right now. Corporations have decided to sever its ties with the artist, the fashion designer, as a result of statements he made about Jewish people, what they deem to be, anti-Semitic statements, saying that he's gone too far, essentially. Now, who are the corporations that are deciding to walk away from the house of Ye? Let me go down the list, folks. Gap, Foot Locker, Adidas, Balenciaga, CAA, that is the talent agency, major talent agency in the industry. JP Morgan Chase, which is a bank that already was deciding to cut ties with Kanye and the Yeezy brand before he made his anti-Semitic statements. But now they definitely happy that they were able to cut ties with him. And MRC. Now, MRC is another company that is a Hollywood financier here in LA, major broker in LA. So they decided to cut ties with Ye as well. So those are just some of the corporations. Then you have a couple of major law firms that is deciding to walk away from Ye as a result of his statements. And folks, let me just say, the people have been releasing snippets of what was actually said, because he said what he said on Twitter, right? But he really goes in on that now infamous Drink Champs episode where he talks about everybody and then damn near their grandmother. But he really goes in talking about Jewish people on that Drink Champs episode that people are just cutting out because Revolt TV has decided to pull the episode as a result of his take on the George Floyd murder. And so this is the major fallout. Let's bring in hip hop artist, activist, culture crew member Jules B back into this, because I'm asking the question, Jules, is he pretty much at the point of no return? Are we at the point of no return with this guy? Is he at the point of no return with himself and, of course, the culture? Why you got that look on your face, Jules?
Because I told you so.
What you sell? Wait a minute. Oh, this sound like a Shannon Sharp approach that you about to take. What do you mean you told me so? What did you tell us, Jules?
Conversation last Wednesday, and
a couple of weeks ago.
Not the same exact conversation, but we had a discussion about this, about the whole Drink Champs interview. And
right. Oh yeah.
I literally stated, this is what happens when you take advantage of somebody who's in a mentally unstable or whatever y'all call him, or who's out of his God-loving mind. Let's call it what it is. I'm not dealing with mental health issues. This what happens when you take somebody that's not in their God-living mind, and you know they're not in that state, but then you give them a platform to speak even more stupid stuff. This is what happens. I told you so. I said this all as last week. I told you so. As far as Ye, I'm not chairman of the cancel culture. I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't care about cancel culture.
I'm not chairman of the.
At this point, you get what you deserve. As far as us as a culture canceling him, it's I can't make that decision, bro. I've seen people still talking about buying Yeezy. So it's I can't make that decision for other people. I just
let's do it. All right, so here, I'm glad that you said that, right? Because we can't make that decision. I don't even feel like there is a cancel culture committee, because the stuff I think that we should cancel, the people and the things I think we should cancel, people fighting for. So I'm kind of stepping away from trying to dictate to other people what they should cancel and what they should not cancel, what should be acceptable and what should. I'm just going to ask the question: is it good for the culture? If it ain't good for the culture, and when you really think about this stuff, if it ain't good for the culture, then we shouldn't accept it. But that's my approach. Put this information out there. Then my only question is, is this good for the culture? Now, here's the thing. You're talking about the cancel culture thing, right? If we look at, and there's a great piece that the Washington Post just printed about, this is where this question is coming from, talking about, is Kanye West at the point of no return? Are we at the point of no return? Because there's a great piece in the Washington Post that came out about this, looking at his whole career. And when you do a look at his whole career and the number of things he said, from the time he said George Bush doesn't care nothing about black people when he was doing that, and then all of the stuff that he said, one of my big pet peeves is not just the fact about you just saying things without truth, not knowing the full truth. My pet peeve is, are you doing all of this for yourself, or are you trying to do this for other people? And it's hard for me to identify, Jules, a moment when he says something to the effect of, hey, black designers don't have a say in this industry. Every time Kanye West talks, he's talking about what he himself personally have undergone, the trials of his personal life, the trials of his personal brand, the trials of him personally not getting into certain spaces and certain circles. I'm not hearing from Ye where he's saying, this is why black folks are always marginalized. This is why black folks are at the bottom. I'm not hearing that language. I'm hearing, why they ain't gonna let me in though?
Okay, so you said we're gonna have a quick conversation, and I tried to
make it quick.
Listen, I tried
we're going to set the show down, but
I try to just ignore this dude. I try to act like he doesn't exist, but now you angered me real quick with the thought that I gotta say. So here's
no,
my
wait, hold on, Joe. We can't act like the man don't exist. He's a cultural figure.
He is not paying my mortgage, Roger. I don't care about this man.
Wait, but look, all right, I get that. But no, let's keep it real. We pocket watching him. We money watch. We money clocking him. Everybody's talking about he ain't no billionaire no more. Oh, yes, he is. He still got this. He still got that. The Adidas deal was only $250 million. That's 10% of what they would lose. If that's just 10%, Adidas could find somebody else, even though they earned them $2 to $3 billion. Adidas can. I think Adidas will be fine.
That's the point I'm making. So you're, as Ye, when we went to that infamous Sway interview years ago, and Sway was trying to tell him to do these things on your own. Stop trying to look for the buy-in to these big white corporations and then going on blast rants about how they did you wrong and how they're not looking out for you and other like he told you the blueprint from jump. It's kind of sort of like you in high school trying to always go at the pretty girl, going at the high school cheerleader. She don't want you, but you're going to keep on going at her. You're going to keep on going at her. You're going to keep on going at her. And it's like, bro, like, she don't want you. You're forcing yourself into a situation. So then when you get into that situation, then you get taken advantage of. That's the point that I feel like we're not focusing on. I don't care about this man and what his other endeavors are, because to me, he's not for the culture. I've been saying that. He ain't doing that for us. I've been saying that for the culture. That's the only part I'm focusing on. What he's doing for himself, hey, more power to him. I hope he has future business endeavors. I don't care. That's him and his life. But what he's doing, the impact for the culture, he hasn't brought. I mean, you even have athletes, Aaron Donald and Jaylen Brown, now not a part of Down to Sports no more.
Right
after break. Like and those are superstar athletes. We ain't talking about the fourth player on the bench on the Celtics. We ain't talking about the backup to the backup lineman on the Rams. We talking about the prominent stars on their team are leaving. So it's like it's affecting much more than just Ye and his business dollars and his he's a billionaire, he's not a billionaire, he represents for us. Like this is more than that. You joined up with a man that doesn't have it right now. And when I say doesn't have it, I ain't talking about mental health. He just ain't got it, bro. Like, I don't see a reason or a light to pour into this man. I don't. The culture, as far as albums, as far as music, yes, the creativity was there. The greatness was there. But a lot of times in this day and age, we can't just expect our artists just to make music and not say nothing. I mean, Kendrick Lamar does it, J. Cole does it, but I mean, everybody's not them. You know what I'm saying?
See, here's the thing.
Of trying to be like that, it's like now you're going to get the backlash. Whereas now you're just constantly speaking, and like I said with the whole Drink Champs interview, then you will get taken advantage of. Because like I said, you were just on Drink Champs a month before, so you don't need to be brought back for you just had a 3-hour conversation exactly a month before. So me bringing you back, that means I want the ratings. I want the controversy. Yay, say something crazy so we can get our ratings. That's what I felt like, and I felt like he delivered. And since he delivered, voila, this is where we're at.
All right, here's the thing. If you are going to go to this is just a strategy in art of war, folks. Sun Tzu talks about this in his book. If you're going to go to war with anybody, be prepared for the fallout, for the consequences. That your weakest enemy can cause casualties. I'm going to say this again. Your weakest enemies can cause casualties. Mm-hmm. So you can't go to war with any group, any individual, or any idea of power and then be surprised, be amazed, be shocked that you got some casualties on your end. Because warfare, and this is all warfare, this is the business, right? Just as much as it's about the culture, it's about business. He was in business with some of the world's biggest brands, right? Balenciaga, Adidas, Gap. These ain't small-time companies. These ain't your regular mom and pop shop. Gap initially was talking to him about opening his own store just for his clothes alone. A Yeezy Gap store.
Mm-hmm. I've heard.
Adidas was talking about, even though now there's some discrepancies in Adidas's statement, that they actually they may still retain the ownership of the designs where he can trademark the name Yeezy, but they might actually still own the designs, which allows them to continue to produce the shoes even without him being on board. But these are brands that Balenciaga, let me tell you something, I ain't know nothing about Balenciaga, but now I see black folks walking around in the hood, bro, with Balenciagas. Now we on Balenciagas. Everybody talking, Balenciagas, I got to get the hat, the belt, the shoes, blah, blah, blah. Then we got the people, black folks, man, Adidas was nothing without Kanye. Bro, Adidas been around for 50 years. Bro, Run DMC did a song about Adidas.
So did Killer Mike.
What are you talking about? They weren't nothing. That doesn't matter. Even what he brought in, check the numbers out, do the math, because the math is going to be mathing on this. That he only made up 10%. He only brought in 10%. So where the other 90% coming from?
Beyonce.
From Ivy Park.
Yeah. Let's not like he's the only
Beyonce
person.
ain't carrying 90%, bro. She's not carrying that.
Pharrell.
My point is just that, you know, when we look at this, like this is warfare, bro. This is warfare. And you can't have a conversation, and you can't go up against any group of people, whether you're talking about Jewish people, whether you're talking about whoever, and not expect to get hit back. Like I said, your weakest enemies can cause casualties. So what do you think that you go up against somebody or group of people or institution of power? You better expect there's going to be some consequences for that. You better expect there's going to be a fallout. You better expect that they're going to kill, as Meek Mill said, they're going to kill your bank account.
So my question then is, so do we blame Ye or do we blame the corporations? Because these corporations...
No, because see, you know what I'm saying is with Ye, and that's why I started this conversation off with my original question is, has there been a moment when we saw Kanye not speak outside of himself? Is he breaking into these spaces for himself, or is this breaking into these spaces for us, for Black designers, for Black entrepreneurs, for Black business folks? You know what I'm saying? Or is he breaking in these spaces for himself, or is he breaking in these spaces for us? And I'm legitimately asking because I don't know, but I haven't read anything.
Right.
I haven't read anything.
But
is he worried about being a billionaire for himself, or is he worried about being a billionaire for other people? Is he opening the door? Because we can't get it confused that just because you're Black and in those spaces, right? Those high decision-making spaces, behind-the-scenes spaces, powerful spaces, that you're representing for, or you're opening the door rather for other people. You could just be there for yourself.
An ally or enemy, pretty much.
So I don't know. I'm throwing the question out there. Let me go to my culture crew, my online culture crew, and see what they got to say about this.
They've been wilder. I was looking at them like, let's get to them. I don't forget us. Let's get to them. They've been wild.
I got a lot of boy. They've been wanting to talk about this all day, but listen, I don't expect nothing less. All right, let's go to them. All right, we out. You say Kanye West don't care about Black people. The end was done with him with the slavery comment. Come on, man. We can't overlook that. We can't overlook that. Slavery is not a choice, bro. We can't overlook that. We out. Appreciate you. Rhonda Gillum, you said whose culture? Kanye said something about Diddy and the Jews, and the next day, all his sponsors dropped him. Maybe this will wake him up, and he will build his own business for us, by us, if he can see that. Yeah. I mean, Kanye bulldozed his way through all of these industries and in these spaces. Y'all know how Kanye is Kanye. Ye is going to do Ye. He going to go hard. Ain't nothing sacred. Text messages, nothing is sacred with this guy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, again, I can admit to the fact that there's some elements of truth. But when you got all this other stuff going on, this other madness, and I'm always questioning, if you're making all this noise, if you want to go against, what's your intent, bro? What's the end goal here? What's the end goal? I shouldn't have to. If you're making this much noise, it should be very clear what your end goal is. But I can't tell what your end goal is based upon how you move. I can't tell. Somebody tell me if y'all can tell. What is Kanye's end goal here? Is his end goal what? President. Freedom, justice, equality.
President. He wants to be the president.
I mean,
that's. I literally think
his end goal to bring Black people into these spaces and to.
No, I think his end goal.
What's your end goal, bro?
I think his end goal is personal gain to get to the presidency. See, I literally think that.
Come on, man. There ain't no way in the world. There ain't no way in the world.
But he was campaigning just in the last election. So it's like that's what I'm saying. Like it ain't like it's like what we're saying. What you and I saying ain't no way in the world. As the cultural vote for him. I'm saying the man's end game is trying to be where 45 was. That's where I think. I literally think that.
I don't, and you know what? I respect your opinion. I just disagree because he has to clearly know that he's not qualified for that. Mentally, emotionally, he's not qualified in the politics of understanding how government works. He's not qualified. The man has come out to say he doesn't read. I'm not, and this is not throwing shade. This is, I mean, come on, folks. We can't slice up people's words or take bits and pieces of who people are and be like, oh, see, this is what, and try to create somebody from the bits and pieces. We try to create a person based upon our understanding and our view of them. No, you got to take him for who he are. Yeah, he's a man who talks about politics, but then there's a man that's also saying he don't read. Here's a man who says he's, talking about Black people, but then, your lifestyle is that you always have been wanting to be acceptable to white companies and to be acceptable in white spaces. So what is it what we're getting into? There's a disconnect that's really big and it's important. There's a huge disconnect. Pookie-san, you said, I think Kanye needs to go on a hiatus to get himself together mentally and physically. He's losing so much so fast, he's shooting himself in the foot. Walker and Donald left Donda tired of sad endings. It's a sad ending. It's a cautionary tale, though. It's a cautionary tale. One is that you understand the dynamics of warfare, understanding business, understanding that if you go against anybody, there are going to be some casualties, even on your side. Even if you win, you're going to win with some casualties. But the way he's pulling this off, I don't see a win for him. I just don't see a win for him out of this. Shalinda, you checked in and said he's getting exactly what he deserves. Rose checked in all the way from London, Jules, watching us here on the Black Star Network. So excited about that. Rose said, never give up on Kanye, please. He clearly needs medical intervention. I think he needs medical intervention too, Rose. I'm not giving up on him. I'm just not putting so much into him. I'm going to take Kanye the way we need to take Kanye. Like, okay, Kanye. All right, yeah, I got you. But I'm not going to, I mean, what are we saying? Are we saying that we should put all our hopes and dreams and aspirations, political aspirations in it? Come on, bro. Come on. Like, I don't know. I don't think that, I personally don't agree with that. So I don't know. Rashida, thank you, Rose, for checking in. I'm glad that you're able to join us. Rashida, you said Ye is full of no more KW. He needs to be blocked everywhere. His stupid mistake was talking about Jewish people. If he kept bashing black people, would have been fine. No one won't care. Well, we would care. I'm not worried about the Jewish comment because he's feeling the brunt of that. But where's the brunt about the George Floyd? Slavery is a choice. What about all the stuff he said about black folks? Where's the brunt of that? We're still very acceptable.
See, that's my issue, bro. That is my issue. You say that slavery isn't a choice, but then again, everybody clamoring for Yeezys. I don't get it. I don't get this world we live in. I don't get it. How the man sales go up for merchandise when they say slavery is a choice, but then as soon as you say something about the Jewish community, now he gets canceled and everybody wants to tag him with their personal opinion. Nah, this should have been going on when he said slavery was a choice. This should have been going on years ago when he said others quotables. He's very quotable. He says a ton of things that you remember, but whatever. Like,
right. I mean, look, when he says certain things very quickly, Jules, as we kind of close out, when he says certain things, what is the backlash that we as black folks in this country, what is the backlash that we have imposed on him? What was the consequences of his words about our struggle? Where was the backlash? Right? Now, certainly we can't stop him from making money. And I know people say, well, when he said that, I mean, those companies didn't drop him. Folks, y'all want me to help us understand some things? Stop thinking there's no double standard for black folks. I mean, this will help to relieve a lot of pain and pressure and tension and heartbreak. There is a double standard when it comes to black folks, man, and everything that we do. Let's just accept it. Right? You can't say certain things. You can't do certain things. You can't move the way you want to move as a black person versus white people or other folks. Let's just stop trying to do it. Why is it that? Because there's a double standard, bro. That's what it is. It's called racism. It's called bigotry. It's called bias. It's a double standard. Okay? So let's just accept the fact that there's a double standard for black folks in this country in everything that we do. And once we start to accept that fact and we move accordingly, we won't be so heartbreaking, so shocked, or so surprised. Oh my God, it's a double standard. I can't move the way I want to move. If I did some crazy stuff, and I could be like, well, y'all ain't getting Sean Hannity. Rolly can't move the way he can't roll that way. We can't roll that way. Because why? There's a double standard. I understand that. As a black man, it's a double standard for me. So so if we keep using that same standard, well, white people could do this and black people can't. How long has that standard been applied to black folks? Ever since our soles of our foot has landed on the shores of this country, we were seen differently, we're treated differently, we're judged differently. We just got to accept that. All right, let's go back to my culture crew. Rashida, Rashida, we appreciate you. Tiana, you said, I'm sorry, I'm not listening to a man who doesn't read. Not sorry. His mouth wrote a check that his ass can't cash.
Facts.
Damn. Maddie, 1099. Tiana, thank you for your bluntness. Truly appreciate it. No, real talk. Thank you. Maddie, 1099. You said, you can't be present. His mind is not right. No, you can't be. Seriously, let's not even putting that out there. Your mind ain't right for this. Patricia McGowan. Patricia, thank you, Maddie. Patricia, you said the slavery comment was when we should have walked away and prayed for the brother. We did pray for the brother. We just didn't walk away at the time. We were mad, but we didn't fully walk away. I want to share something as we close this out. In this piece that the Washington Post wrote about Kanye, they had quoted this brother named Van Lathan. Van Lathan was a former, he worked at TMZ. You're familiar with Van. And I think he gave this comment that I think really sums up where we are with understanding Kanye. And not just Kanye, this is about any person that we give so much power to, because that's the thing, folks. We create this Kanye, this Ye. We gave him the power. But let me just share with you what Van Lathan said about Kanye. Let's go to quote number, well, first, this is what Kanye said, quote 2. Let's go to post that one first, y'all, Ariel and Keenan. Quote 2, he said in his Drink Champs conversation, that's quote 3. Let's go to the second one. I want to go back to what Kanye said, because this is crazy. He said, the thing about me and Adidas is like, I can literally say anti-Semitic stuff and they can't drop me.
Yep.
I can say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what?
Yep.
That's what he said on the Drink Champs joint.
Straight said that.
And guess what happened?
He got a drop.
He got dropped.
Faster than a bungee.
And guess what happened? See, again, if you're going to war, you better understand. You better be prepared for the consequences. He got too arrogant, bro. It's sad. Like you, the way you moving, you got too much tied up into their system. If you're going to war with the system, then you better first take your stuff out of the system, so that way you don't catch it. Now. So let me just put this comment out there from Van Lathan, because I think it summarizes where we are. Van Lathan said, check this out. Now let's throw quote number 3 up on there, Keenan and Ariel. The cultural weapon that we give certain influential people, they don't build it, we do. He said, for years and years, we gave Ye this enormous bazooka of cultural influence, and one day we're looking down the barrel of it. Now, I just want us to think about this very quickly as we wrap up today. If we look at this quote, you take Ye out of it, and you put any person, any celebrity, any voice that you feel like is just kind of like this larger than life voice. That is what we have a tendency of doing, especially when it comes to celebrities, cultural influence, and all of that. That we give certain people this platform. We are the ones that create Kanye. Just as much, yes, he could be in these spaces, but it just showed that we are enablers of certain types of thinking, right? We are enabling Kanye, or we're enabling a Donald Trump, or we enable these people. So and I'm saying we as individuals, and then of course the companies. Because if CAA and Gap and Balenciaga and all of that, you mean to tell me they still partner with this man, even though he said wild stuff in the past? This ain't the first time. So it's like we are giving these people the platform, and then back to Van, this enormous bazooka of cultural influence, and then one day we're looking down the barrel of it. We are creating these kind of cultural for lack of a better word, like these cultural Frankensteins. And I couldn't disagree with that, bro. Jules, you got the final word. I can't disagree with that.
This is it. I'm done. No more words. You don't deserve them. Not waste my time. That statement of Van Lathan is true. 100% true. But
if we stop giving people so much, like if people who stand before us, who perform, who do sports, anybody that we praise, right? If we don't give them that license to say whatever they want, do whatever they want, then guess what happens? They are not going to say whatever they want. They're not going to do whatever they want. We don't, and this is the thing for me. If we don't set the boundaries for the culture, nobody else will. If we don't say that it's time to shut somebody down, I get that this is part of why there is a cancel culture, right? Because there's talking about setting boundaries, but I'm saying specifically to Black folks in this country. We can put R. Kelly into that same thing. We gave him that platform. We made it allowed him for him to do what he did, the pain and for him to cause. We don't want to talk about it. I get it. But at the end of the day, we got to confront this ugly demon that sometimes we give people power that they can use to hurt us.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done, Joe. I get it. I'm done too.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. This issue could be a 2-hour topic. I'm not going to keep on talking about it because I feel like I have so much more to say, but
yeah, I get it. That's why we'll bring you back. We'll bring you back, and God willing, man, we will look at this from other different. There are some other parts of this that I wanted to talk about, not relating to Kanye, but to other, just the celebrity culture. Right. But I definitely want to have the conversation. Jules, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much, brother. Always good to talk to you. I'm so glad you were able to join us here on Wednesdays. And thank you for being so good for the culture, brother. Truly appreciate it and love you, man. I'm just making sure I don't say anything anti-Semitic. Won't be me. You know, hey, look, hey, like I said, if you're going to go to war with somebody, you better be prepared.
Don't wait till November 8th. We can vote today, y'all. Early vote started this week.
We're on Savannah State University's campus. We will be dorm storming today, giving out treats for everyone. We hope to see everyone at the polls when it comes to November.
If you believe we got power, let them know. Make some noise. Put a fist up. I need to see a fist in the air because we got power. Come on, you put it up. Go get your shirt. We're out here in the streets of Savannah, Georgia. James, do not forget to go vote. I got you. If we vote the right people in, we can make a change. We can get these resources in our community.
I am a woman, and it is important that we have the say-so of what we want to do with our bodies.
We're concentrating on entrepreneurism, providing young people with resources and training that they need in order to change their trajectories. We want Black down. Democracy is on the ballot. Voting rights is on the ballot. Voting suppression is on the ballot. I am most passionate about those three combined because they all impact each other.
Savannah is my home. I care about my community, and I care about representation in my community.
Our voices are still going to be heard no matter what kind of obstacles try to come up against us to stop us from voting. We're still going to be standing our ground.
I see the effort that's being made to keep our communities from voting. So that makes me realize it's even more important, because if it wasn't important, they wouldn't be fighting to make sure we could vote.
this doesn't stop this year, this is a forever movement.
We're going to exert our power as a people, walk in our rightful place. We're going to change our communities, fight for our communities, and build our communities.
Oh man. I hope that first segment around political violence got you thinking and got you talking. So many people are checking in on our online culture crew right there in the chats on YouTube and Facebook. Truly grateful that the conversation is had, but this is a very important topic for me. So, I will say this very quickly before we go to our next segment. For the rest of this week, we're going to dedicate time to talk about politics. Of course, about the upcoming midterm elections. And tomorrow, folks, we're literally 1 week away, 7 days away from this pivotal election. So all this week, we're going to do our part. I got some speeches. We're going to try to get some excerpts from the great Reverend William Barber and his speech, and trying to fire up the low income and those who often are not heard to go to the polls. I mean, there are just so many different things. So, if you're like, oh, we got to talk about this. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. Yeah, I'm going to dedicate some good amount of time to this because I want us to be as informed, engaged, and as active as possible to go to these polls, man. States like Georgia, we've been talking about, in states like California, Florida, we got a lot of things happening down in Florida. I'm looking at Detroit, so I'm looking at what's happening there. I'm keeping my eyes on that one. California, where I am, yep, I'm keeping my eyes on here. Texas, big one, another big one. There's a lot has happened in there. Of course, hometown, Baltimore, Maryland, they're looking to make some history with possibly electing the first Black governor for the state of Maryland and Westmore. I'm looking at a lot of states, looking at a lot of places. So we got to do our due diligence to make sure that we keep you posted on those things. Also, make sure y'all follow me on all of my social media platforms at Faraji, The Real Faraji on Instagram and Faraji on Twitter. As I love to connect with you, let's continue to build our community. But I'm going to be putting out more information and just keeping the conversations going. So if you haven't connected with me on social media, I would love to connect with you. I'm looking to re-energize my social media. So your energy will help to build my energy. My energy will build yours. So let's just build energy together. All right, folks. In this conversation, I wanted to talk about what we're seeing with Elon Musk taking the reins of leadership at Twitter. Of course, we talked a little bit about this last week. The $44 billion acquisition of Twitter. One of the world's richest men has decided to take on this public platform as a way to shift the conversation. But there are some concerns, especially from Black Twitter users, that this will not be the space that is going to be as welcoming, warm, and accommodating as Mr. Musk has put out there. Take a look at this, folks. Here's the latest situation around Twitter. And this is what I think is interesting. And I'm asking a question, with hate speech increasing on Twitter, will Black people leave? Do you know that there has been, since Elon Musk has officially announced that he is going to be taking over Twitter, do you know that there has been a rise in hate speech in the very platform, in the very space that he said he wants to have? He's what he calls a free speech absolutist. Oh my gosh. Hate speech is rising on Twitter as a result of his takeover. Wow. Let me just share with you very quickly what this is, and then we're going to bring my sister Shireen Mitchell in, who is Digital Sister, who's going to break it all down to us so we can understand, like we 5-year-olds around this issue. But according to the reports, and this comes out of Forbes magazine, but they quoted the Network Contagion Research Institute. They analyzed social media content. Its researchers found a 500% increase, folks, in the use of the N-word on Twitter within 12 hours of Musk taking over. 500%. There have also been big spikes in the use of anti-Semitic, homophobic, transphobic, and other racist terms besides the N-word on the platform. Now take a listen to this. This is what he said This is what Elon Musk said. He said, the reason I acquired Twitter is because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square. The importance of the future of civilization. Damn. You must think Elon Musk is an avenger or something. All right. So he said, that said, Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences. In addition to adhering to the laws of the land, our platform must be warm and welcoming to all. Really, Mr. Musk? Really, sir? Really? All right, let me bring in Digital Sister, our sisters, who is an expert on understanding the dynamics of social media, Shireen Mitchell. Shireen, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I
Wait,
love
make sure, is my volume, is that me or you?
Oh, is my volume
Is that
bad?
my volume? Because I don't hear you all the way. I hear you a little bit, but I don't hear you all the way, Shireen. There we go. Let's make sure we get that tight, because I want people to hear you loud and clear.
Can I get loud?
All right, can we go ahead? I think we should be good.
Can you hear me?
All right, let's check her audio is good. Okay. All right, cool. All right, go ahead, Shireen.
Yeah, is it me or is it on your end? I just want to make sure.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay. All right, awesome. Okay. So what do you?
We're good. We're good on everyone hearing me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. So talk to us a little bit, Shireen, about this situation. What do you make of this 500% increase of the N-word within 12 hours?
Within 12
More
hours.
homophobic, transphobic, racist comments. Within 12 hours, Shireen?
12 hours. Like, he just took over and all of a sudden everyone was like, oh, I get to say whatever I want. And that has always been one of the biggest problems with our community. It's that these platforms have always, at some point, allowed the racist conversations around Black people and their identity. It was an accepted part of the platforms. The one thing that I want to make sure that is key here is that him taking over is not magical. It is the fact that he did it. And he is talking about being an absolutist when I will promise you, free speech has never been granted to us the same way it's been granted to other people. And we're seeing examples of that. And that's why the 12 hours, like, it took 12 hours. I saw it myself. I was watching other data for us to pay attention to. But that ultimately, at the end of the day, he basically is like, I am going to let people say whatever they want. And he's also participating in many ways with the mis and disinformation. If there wasn't that case, I would say something completely different at this moment. But what I know is that the evidence is proof. He was participating in mis and disinformation. He was also participating in targeting marginalized people. When many people called up his apartheid history, those people were shut down for criticizing him about that history, how his money came about. There are many instances that, like, people scream free speech, but they don't mean it for everyone. They mean it for some of us. And what we just witnessed is in his immediate takeover was people going, oh no, this is for just some. It's not for all of us. No matter what statement he gives at this point, no matter what aspect happens that moves forward, we will have a conversation about, like, what free speech means. But I literally seen multiple people, even when LeBron James made a comment saying that hate speech is free speech. Hate speech is not covered by the First Amendment at all, under any circumstances, in any form. The other really, really important part is that he keeps making it look like the free speech is just about us disagreeing with each other. We can disagree with each other.
And that's one of the big concerns that, you know, when we talk about free speech, we often talk about it like in this silo, right? You know, that only benefits a few people.
It only benefits a few people.
And here's my understanding, and maybe if I'm wrong on this, Shireen, but he says that Twitter is for the future of civilization. I'm thinking to myself, I get it. It's an influential platform. I use it. I like it. You know what I'm saying? In spite of all of the craziness, I think there's some value in the platform. But is it that big? I mean, does it fit that big of a place in the big scheme of things? Like, are people, quote unquote, feel like if Twitter was not in existence anymore, that we would lose something in the process?
No, I mean, Twitter could go away tomorrow. It's very much like, but also any of these platforms can go away tomorrow. I think that there are multiple instances where it's quite clear that there is this assumption that technology and the social media is the thing that's going to save us. And that's where Elon Musk comes from. This whole concept that technology is everything, and that's the future of our lives. And I'm not saying that technology is not connected, but the concept that this is that somehow technology is going to move forward without humans. Are we saying that humans are not going to be moving along with the technology and all the spaces in between about that? Because part of the reason that we're having this hard time is because the bad acting humans are walking with us through this. And we're not checking all of those people. We're picking and choosing who we're checking in terms of who is saying harmful rhetoric, who are promoting violence, who's dismissing violence, which he did. He promoted a link to a site that basically made it seem like Mr. Pelosi's violence against him was somehow made up. Those are the things that it's the human part of it. The government part of it is the part I think that where people are confused about. You have the right to speak against your government in America. It says Congress shall make no law. You and me disagreeing is very different. And unless the government gets involved, unless there's some legal action, they are completely separate things. I can disagree with you, but also if you do something that incites violence against me, that's not protected by free speech.
So I think that you're absolutely right, and I think it's very important for us to be very clear, like what the First Amendment actually covers. And one of our culture crew members, Jawan Yvette, Jawan, you said some people forget that you're free to say whatever you want, but the First Amendment does not protect you from the consequences of your words.
Absolutely, that's exactly it. It does not protect you from that. And we're watching it, right? You know, with some of the things that's happening with I'm gonna call him. I have a name for him, but I'll give him his respectful name. Kanye is you make these statements and people get to react. You make these statements and businesses get to react. People get to react. You can say whatever you want. You really can. No one's telling you can't. But if we're now having a debate about what hate speech is versus free speech, then we're fundamentally failing at the understanding of what the first it's sort of what I say is it's a bastardization of the First Amendment. You can't scream fire in a movie theater because it would cause harm. You can't scream a death threat. Yet on some of these platforms that has been accepted as normal. There are so many things that we have allowed to move the needle as if they are completely protected by the First Amendment, and they aren't. We have proven that we failed to understand what the First Amendment actually meant in the first place.
Absolutely. Look, I want to take a quick pause. When we come back, I want to get some comments because our online culture crew, Shireen, is just biting to say something. So we want to get some comments in from them. So many people are checking in. Folks, join the discussion. Post your comments. If you're watching this show on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, we would love to hear what you got to say. Post your comments, and let's continue the conversation with Shireen Mitchell as we talk about Elon Musk and the implications of his takeover over the major social media platform, Twitter. Stay with us. That conversation continues right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Don't wait till November 8th. We can vote today, y'all. Early vote started this week.
We're on Savannah State University's campus. We will be dorm storming today, giving out treats for everyone. We hope to see everyone at the polls when it comes to November.
If you believe we got power, let them know. Make some noise. Put a fist up. I need to see a fist in the air because we got power. Come on, you put it up. Come get your shirt. We're out here in the streets of Savannah, Georgia. James, do not forget to go vote. I got you. If we vote the right people in, we can make a change. We can get these resources in our community.
I am a woman, and it is important that we have the say-so of what we want to do with our bodies.
We're concentrating on entrepreneurism, providing young people with resources and training that they need in order to change their trajectories. We want Black down. Democracy is on the ballot. Voting rights is on the ballot. Voting suppression is on the ballot. I am most passionate about those three combined because they all impact each other.
Savannah is my home. I care about my community, and I care about representation in my community.
Our voices are still going to be heard no matter what kind of obstacles try to come up against us to stop us from voting. We're still going to be standing our ground.
I see the effort that's being made to keep our communities from voting. So that makes me realize it's even more important, because if it wasn't important, they wouldn't be fighting to make sure we couldn't vote.
This doesn't stop this year. This is a forever movement.
We're going to exert our power as a people, walk in our rightful place. We're going to change our communities, fight for our communities, and build our communities.
Folks, welcome back to the show, The Culture, here on the Black Star Network. We've been talking to Shireen Mitchell, who is a digital expert, to talk to us a little bit about the implications and the impact of Elon Musk, one of the world's foremost billionaires or richest men, as he takes on the reins of leadership and power over the social media network Twitter. And what does that mean for Black Twitter users? Let's bring Shireen back into the conversation, because Shireen is just breaking it down for us like no one can, about this situation, about really what we can expect. Now, there are a number of Black Twitter users, Shireen, that are just saying, I'm done with it. For example, the coveted, the great writer of some of our favorite shows, Shonda Rhimes, excuse me. I'm thinking of different names. Shonda Rhimes, thank you. Making a point saying, look, she's done with it. She just... here's what the quote was. This is what she tweeted, y'all. she tweeted, she tweeted, not hanging around for whatever Elon has planned. Bye. like Shonda she told us to her 1.9 million followers. She gone. Yeah. Other black folks are dipping out as well. It's like, oh, okay, the party is over.
The party is over.
Let me take me a to-go plate and wrap it up, and I'm out, y'all. I'm out. Now, here's another Twitter user. This is Dr. Jackie Lewis. She put it out there. The power Black folks built on this app isn't something to throw away, and a crucial part of why, quote, certain people want to destroy it. Keep talking, keep organizing, keep building power.
Yes, I totally agree with that. In 2016, when we were tracking some of the early election voting stuff and people getting out to vote and telling Black women that Black women lead, Black women vote, in 2016, I would say around 2 weeks before the election, which is what we're in the middle of actually, before this midterms, that a lot of Black women were targeted and they were silenced and they had their actual accounts hacked. The problem that we have to worry about is him having access. I call it the goddess panel, but that means he, in ownership, he has access to the God panel. That means he has access to every part, your DMs, your personal information. And that's worrisome, to have someone who is willing to perpetuate false narratives and basically try to silence people who call out him in any moment, who
You talking
have
about Elon
have
Musk?
something to say against him. If you think about some of the narratives and the ways in which even some people have been suspended and banned, one of those ways was because they were criticizing him.
Right, right. But you're talking about Elon Musk, that if somebody were to go on Twitter and start to criticize him, that they might find themselves in a how would they call it, a sacred space?
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Like that's the key part that people are missing, because he is basically saying, I can say and do whatever I want on this platform, but not everybody else can. The free speech part and the absolutist part is very much limited to the people who feel like they have the right to do it, but they do not want to hear the pushback coming from individuals that want to challenge them. And that when you see the opposite, when you see that he responds very differently to people who challenge him, you know that he's not going to look at this platform in the same way. And the people who are silenced the most are the most marginalized. And I do want to make sure that it's clear, there's a lot of free speech absolutists.
Yeah.
But they don't protect us. Everyone keeps saying that, like, if we don't allow the level of free speech, then we're basically going to harm the most marginalized people. Right now, we have not used that constitutional right to protect us. Like, we aren't being protected right now.
Wow.
The future, we're not even talking about the future. You can't do it right now. If there's an increase in the N word being used, then who's protecting Black people? If that's fine, and that can go unchecked and be considered free speech.
Right. And so and that's the part that I think that we need to just drive home, is the simple fact that if you got this increase of racist language, transphobic language, homophobic language, just all types of just offensive language, and yet we're talking about free speech, it's like, how does that happen?
How does that work?
Because and I read, Shireen, that Elon created this council. I think it's called like a moderation council, where he's supposed to, like, it's basically a group of people who's supposed to dictate, what the policies will be, like what is truly like acceptable, who goes to the edge, who doesn't go to the edge, all of that type of stuff. Plus, he also said it himself that he's not made a decision about Donald Trump, like a person like Donald Trump coming back. He said, if I had, and I saw this tweet earlier today, but he mentioned the point that he said, if I had a nickel for every time that someone asked me if I'm going to bring Donald Trump back, he said Twitter would be minting money. So he was pretty much just saying, like, no, we haven't made a decision. But I think it's a very interesting space, because it seems like even though free speech is this very, very highly coveted, a principle, an idea, it's still like up to interpretation, right?
It is.
And so what somebody's hate speech, what may be deemed hate speech to us, could be their free speech to them.
Exactly. And that's what they're doing. They're muddying the waters between who gets to define or who gets to determine what hate speech is. And usually in those instances, the most marginalized people are the ones that are sort of punished under that quote unquote deciding. Right. So we have to hear the hate speech. We have to witness the hate speech. We have to bear the hate speech as people are debating whether our existence is of value enough to not allow someone to use it against us.
All
it
right.
is very
That's
fascinating
very true.
To me.
Very true. Very true. You don't like my music. You say we can all say insane, psychotic things, but we choose not to because we are real people.
We have to still make choices, right? Some things that is happening in our sphere, it's like, yes, this is a choice that someone decides to make this statement, but the consequence of the statement is what I think people are missing. I think that a lot of times people confuse cancel culture in the same way, because what cancel culture is really about is trying to hold people accountable for doing harmful things. It is like, it gets twisted, right? It's not about your ability to speak. It's about the fact that you are, in the words that you're using, harming a group of people. And those people are pushing back and saying, no, we're not accepting that. And here's the thing. Social media in original form was actually created so that the small voices was able to amplify in a way that others had, right? Against the media, against the government. I think that there are conversations we can have about that. What has happened is that it's been turned on its head. We were never predicting that the harmful people would use it to continue to be harmful.
And
give it a platform to do so.
Yeah.
Unchecked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like,
see, here's the thing, Shireen. Here's the thing, right? Because this is the other part about it. And I know that you're doing your work around, voter suppression in digital spaces, the work that you're doing with disinfo detox. The thing I always think about is, when we have these conversations, how is it going to affect Black voices, right?
Yeah.
So you might have Black voices, and they could be any one of our great scholars. Hell, we've had we got Dr. Carr on this network. We got Dr. Gerald Horn on this network. We have a number of Black thought leaders and scholars, like real scholars. And if they were to post something on Twitter with what they say rooted in history, be deemed as quote unquote hate speech.
That's the thing that we're now moving closer to. If you think about that, like think about having detailed conversations about slavery, having detailed conversations about, overturning Roe, like having detailed conversations that, Black women were the originators of being forced to give birth. The details of us just telling our version of the story. We're seeing this with conversations about CRT and education. Right now, there is a debate about affirmative action and our ability to be educated in certain institutions.
Right.
These are the debates that we're having real time. And if we push back and we're the ones saying, hey, this is harmful to us, this is going to cause, dehumanization. That is the thing that we are pushing back. They are pushing back against us. No matter how you hear it, other people get to decide who we are as Black people. Other people get to decide how we exist in this country as Black people. Other people get to decide whether or not we get to be loud or angry about what's happening to us. That is on its face a complete shift. The free speech part, I think people are missing, is that most of the free speech that people are defending are based on stereotypes about us, and we're not hearing that yet.
That's true.
Most of that is about us.
Yeah.
The woke, the term woke, we are trying to have conversations that came from us. That's Black vernacular. We were talking about wake up, see what's happening, ... Now there's literally anti-woke bills. Those are called anti-Black bills, y'all. Please pay attention. Go back and listen and watch, because that's what they're saying. They're saying a hard N-word in different ways, and now they're giving permission to just say the N-word.
Right. Oh, man. What's your take on this, Shireen? Because I'm seeing a lot of people have this conversation about Nubia fan base, joining these other apps, right? And as I was doing some research just for this conversation, the couple of Twitter users were like, even though Elon might be taking the reins of leadership of Twitter, I'm not leaving Twitter. But what about those quote unquote black alternatives, right? What about those spaces? How does that, where do they fit in our yearning to communicate, but at the same time being in a space where we can get our voices heard and our thoughts considered?
I think that we will always have this battle to some extent, right? Because many of the models that are monetized is usually not led by us, right? It's sort of like tangentially we go off and do these other like fan base and others. I think that we will, where we are right now is that we're in a very complicated space about what's next. I do think eventually Twitter is going to disappear. I mean, just remind people, if you've been around for this whole time, you know, MySpace existed, right? When MySpace turned into more of an art environment, then all of a sudden MySpace was gone, and then we were having a Facebook conversation, right? I want to remind people that we've gone through these iterations of different platforms. Some platforms have stayed, some platforms have gone. I do think that no matter what happens, we can't allow our voices to be silenced. Like, so if you decide to stay on Twitter, make sure that you're still able to be as loud as the next person and report the bad stuff. Because I think some of this is also based on the fact that we don't report the things that happen. I don't even think average people report what happens to Black people over what happens to maybe white people, honestly. I mean that sincerely. And I think that we've accepted a norm of that language. And until we can figure out how to like move the needle, we are being loud because we are trying to protect ourselves. We're being loud not because we're trying to incite violence against another group. We're being loud for a very, very different reason. And we're just basically saying, see what's happening to us, please, before it happens to you. And so many groups of people are like, oh no, we just realized it's happening to us now. So now we want to fix it. But if you were paying attention to all the dis and misinformation campaigns that were targeting Black women, if you were listening to the Black women who were talking about your slip of showing and accounts pretending to be Black women, if you saw all the campaigns that we were trying to stop, that's where it should have sat. When I hear people go like, oh no, like we should go somewhere else now, I think if we had actually all stood up back then, we wouldn't be here where it's now just like normal to say the N-word on these apps.
Right.
Unchecked.
Right. So do we put more investment into these other alternatives?
I would say yes, but my caution is, didn't we just see all the white supremacists move into places like Parler and Gab and Reddit, right? Like eventually they want to come back out. That's what Elon is doing. He's kind of trying to change Twitter back into sort of that environment. And we need to be careful of making sure that we don't allow silos in these environments. I think that we should go to fan base. I think that we should invest in those that are being created at social media platforms that are being created by Black people. But we also can't operate in a silo there either. It's basically, if you think about what I'm saying, is basically social media segregation.
You dropping some new terminology.
I'm just saying, like we have to think about that, because if we go to our own silos, aren't we still allowing the white supremacists to take over and people who are harmful and violent to have their own space without us checking or saying like, this is wrong, this should not be moved?
Okay.
Like, that's what we're doing in some ways. And I'm not saying that we don't support those environments. I'm saying we have to be very careful of segregating ourselves in such a way that we can't even witness the people who want to harm us, who think our existence should not happen, like that we don't belong in these spaces. It's a technological framework overall. Right. Think about the numbers of people in tech. The small numbers of Black and brown people in tech, we're still at like 3%. How do we change that whole spectrum if we're not a part of the full narrative from the tech space to the social media space. And I think sometimes people don't realize that we're being pushed out. But if we move away and segregate ourselves, that will allow them to continue to build harmful products against us.
Shireen, let me just tell you something. Can you be my therapist for like 30 seconds?
Yes.
No matter where Black people go, we're always reminded we Black.
Yes. It's
like
not
we can't even go on a damn social media platform without, hey, don't forget, you Black and conscious.
Exactly.
And if you come to bring that consciousness here, you will pay a price.
Because we need you to shrink. We can't afford to have people think that you're loud. You know how many people on platforms basically say that Black people are like only 7 to whatever percent or whatever. I can't even remember some of the numbers I've heard people say of the voting bloc. So why y'all working so hard to keep us from voting then? If it don't.
So that brings and let me just share with you a few things. Let me share with you a few things because a couple of people are checking in because the whole social media segregation touched the nerve for a lot of people, I think.
Uh-oh. I can't see all of them, so you got to tell me what they are.
Shereen, like, Faraji, this will be the first and the last time I'm on your show.
No. I will always come back.
No,
I thank you for even having me.
Is love. No, because I didn't think about it like that, but I feel like that mindset is akin to every Black space that Black folks have to be in, right? Like yes. we can say, yes, we can build, we can create our own church, or we can flood the white church and make them see us. You know what I mean? Or we got to do both. It's like
or have to do both.
We got to do both.
Because when we did that, right? Tulsa happened. When we did that, we got how many Lake Lanier?
There were over 100 Black towns in America that were Black self-sustaining towns. If y'all look at that, it wasn't beyond Tulsa and Rosewood. There were a lot.
There were a lot. And they were destroyed.
And they were destroyed. Systematically
destroyed.
Right,
While
so,
sundown towns still existed.
Right.
While they were telling us we couldn't go to buy food before noon on Saturday, right?
Right.
It's like we can't allow that part of it. Like we need to acknowledge that we're dealing with a digital version of that behavior. Telling us where and when we can exist and where and when we feel or don't feel protected. That's not a mistake at all. That is all intentional. And there's this complete assumption that the only people who can build tech are basically people who don't look like us. We can build it. We just have to be careful about not segregating ourselves. We can still build it. We have the skill sets to do all of that.
We just gotta operate from two spaces.
Yes.
We gotta, and this is, and you know what? I agree. We gotta operate from two spaces. We gotta flood the mainstream traditional, but we gotta create and build the alternative.
We can have both and
we can do it both ways. We can do it. We can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Exactly.
We can walk. Hey, look, this is what my sister Corinna checked in and said. Social media segregation. Well, damn, sis. You are so right. She said, you have a point, but at the same time, I'm tired of making these races money. She put the $4 signs. Corinna, I think you summed up my view. I get it. I get it. So can we truly operate where, because if we stay on Twitter, we're making the money.
So you're only going to make the money if that, when they said that, like, you want your blue check, you got to spend $20 a month. You don't need that blue check. Why pay $20 a month?
Because I am somebody, Shireen. I am somebody. And I want you to see that blue check to be like, I'm somebody.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Jesse Jackson told me that, and I believe it. So
But it's the same problem, right? Because then you're actually paying for your subjugation. And we got to be really careful about paying for our own subjugation. That's like, seriously, I do not. I've been on Twitter since I think 2007, 2008. I don't have a blue check. I personally was very clear I would never do that. And that's because I knew that eventually it could be used against us, because even in the blue check of you paying, there's data that's being shared. Your finances are being shared. Like, think about what I'm saying. You're absolutely right. But then you also have to choose whether or not you're going to pay that $20. It was what, $4.99, I think, for the blue check for a minute.
Right.
And now they're talking about $20, right? So don't pay for your own subjugation. It's all I'm saying, sis. That's all I'm saying.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest. Y'all gonna get mad at me, but I'm telling you, I did not know you had to pay $20.
That's where we are now. It's like
they know you had to pay $20. So all I need to look famous is $20 a month.
To look famous, not to be famous, but to look famous. So those are kind of the caution things I say. And here's something else I want to make sure that we're not losing in this conversation. We've built shit before. Some of these apps out here had the black coders were actually around. They have NDAs and they can't tell you they are some of the originals of some of these things that everyone's making money off of. That aside, you still need to be careful about you being subjugated. But also, I just want y'all to know, I mean this sincerely, some of these technologies have been stolen and co-opted and culturally appropriated. Like Black Twitter is a thing, because when people were coming onto Twitter, people thought there was like a whole different Twitter. No, it was Black Twitter. We are the ones that made.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Again, I'm going to be honest with you. When I heard the term Black Twitter years ago, I was just like, well, where is Black Twitter? Because I want to log in, right?
Yes.
I felt dumb. I was like, so there isn't like a separate space for Black people?
It's not. It's the same space. It's an open space, but we know, and you can tell who has people who they follow that are Black, because they have a completely different conversation and a completely different linguistics.
I don't like that.
You don't like that?
No, because you know why? Because it's like y'all have y'all little like it's like the children's table at Thanksgiving.
No, it's not. You think that's what it is? I don't think that's
look, man. Black folks, we are so integral part of this conversation about the American experiment of this country, right? On every single level. We do not need to, I'm saying in this space, in this setting of Twitter, we need to be a part of every damn conversation that's in Twitter. That's just me. But, I get it. Like, Black folks, culturally, there are some things.
But we still have our own vernacular and our own linguistics.
I get that. And see, that's what I'm saying. There's the other, that's my pain, Shireen. That's my pain, right? It breaks my heart, because it's like, I want us to be in those spaces so we can, and I'm going to go, this is my brother Conscious Thought. He said it best. He said, we have to be where we can to educate and enlighten each other in spaces where we are free to be the very best that we can be.
Yes.
I love that, Conscious Thought. I love it, bro. I love that, right? And I feel like even in spaces where we're not deemed as being like we should be there, like the conversation about Black folks today is being at the table. The conversation about Black folks today is that we are a part of every conversation because we built this country.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, don't put me at the children's table during Thanksgiving. I'm sitting with the adults because I'm going to have the real conversation. We're going to enlighten. We're going to educate. That's how I feel. But I understand we do need a separate space. But then I look at it like, is there Asian Twitter?
Technically, yes.
And a Latino Twitter?
Yes.
See, that's why I brought you on, because you
You gotta you gotta know that they exist though to follow
That's
them.
what I'm saying.
And
I didn't know.
like all the crazy stuff that was happening in Brazil. Oh, there's a whole conversation happening. And that's, yes. So that's the point. Like if you, whatever community that you're in, absolutely, you'll see those breakdowns. And there's completely like,
But
let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Do you know how many, a reporter did a story on BTS and talked about Black women who love BTS. Do you know how many people got upset about that story? Because Black women loving BTS, i.e., a Korean, band.
Pop. Yeah,
exactly. They were like, "How you breaking that down to the Black version of the story?" Because everybody loves BTS. No, we all don't. Not in the same way. They're like the quote unquote BTS army looks very different, and some of the army is very racist. So there is a conversation that you can still have within that context.
So I see people are saying this, and Renaissance Man 2008, you bring up a great point. You said, bruh, you said, bruh, we don't have to be like everyone else. Let's just do us. And I'm all for that. I'm all for that, Renaissance Man. I'm really am for that. But I am also of the thinking, and I don't know, help me to reconcile this, bro. But yeah. I'm also thinking that, you know what, like, I don't want, everything is, this country is built on Black culture, Black history, Black thought, Black politics, Black healthcare. I mean, we are so if we're essential in all these spaces, the us is everybody.
Because
in some sense,
because most people have appropriated our culture and adapted it for themselves. Like you gotta still be honest about that. Listen. I can hear like my social media segregation thing got people upset because I'm hearing the words, right? but it's true. It's very, very true. I'm not saying that we don't have to be constantly burdened and being harmed. If you want to exit, go ahead and exit. But let's be also honest that we've done that in this country before, and we've seen the outcomes of that. I'm always fascinated with people constantly saying, well, we just need to exit. And that exit does not mean that we're still safe. Because the point of what I'm trying to say is it's not like other people can't still come in and bomb that. Right? That's what I'm trying to say. I've had multiple conversations with people, and I've asked people sometimes, when was the last time America bombed Black people? Do you know the year?
1985. Move.
See? But that's modern, right?
Yeah, so, that was only like 40 years ago.
It's modern. The 1980s is considered modern. You can't say that this was 1921.
No.
That's what I'm saying. We are still operating in a country that operates like all the technology has to be in one place. All the people have to be in one place. It is segregation. And there is some level of like self-segregation. And we have to be very, very careful because there is an assumption that we have some level of sovereignty. We don't. We still have to live by the laws of this country. There's no sovereignty in any of that. And that's what I mean. Even in the technology, if we build it, we still are operating from American laws. And I know that there's like a lot of debates about to happen on the Hill about the technology laws and things like that and whatever. But I'm still trying to make sure that we understand that one thing that doesn't change for us is that the laws being put in place about us, even though they affect other people, we're missing the fact that they're about us. Tip wages is about us. Think about what I'm saying, right? Like if you literally think about the laws that are now being put in place, even over voter suppression, and when I talked about the anti-woke laws, they called it something else, but it's still about us.
Yeah.
You know that there are towns that still are sundown towns. Y'all know that whether they switch around how they talk about the laws, it's about us. There's still, like in Virginia, there's still places where there are writers written in the doctrine of a contract that says you cannot sell this house to a Black person. It's still there, y'all.
Oh yeah.
So all I'm saying is,
Yeah.
be clear that like we still have to then live by those laws, because someone will say, well, that law is in place, so it's not about. Do you know how many people who are mad about slavery being overturned is that they'll say that they became slave to the federal government? That our slavery is not the real slavery, and they will repeat that. Honestly, think about it. Because who was protecting us from the state's rights individuals who thought they could do whatever they wanted to us?
I mean, I get that, but
I'm just saying, it's
you know what
not
I'm saying? Like
separate.
in certain conversations, it's like, bro, it's not necessary for me. In my opinion, it's not necessary for us to have. I hear what you're saying, and I know some people. You know what I mean? You just be like, well, bro, that was like. You know what I mean? Like we had a different place in our history.
But we're not, because some people are trying to roll back those laws back to that time.
I get
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
I totally understand that. I totally understand that.
That's
You're
all
right.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we'll still be beholden to those laws. Like we can still try to be segregated. We can still try to do all these other things, but we're not sovereign. We still will be beholden to those laws. So if cops decide to show up and they're like, we're going to take that from you.
Right.
What's going to happen?
Right. Absolutely. That's a great point. Shireen, we got a couple of moments left.
I know. I'm sorry. We went the whole.
You know, it's all good. No, because that's the way let me tell you, the culture, stuff happens. When the spirit is flowing, I don't like to stop.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? Big shout out to my online culture crew. That's their problem. Let's blame them. Let me stop.
Because we're having a great conversation. I know we got to end.
Like, this is important. I think this is important to a lot of people, right? You know, and I appreciate my online culture crew for just saying, look, let's have these different conversations. You know what I mean? But let's look at this in light of we're a week away.
Yes.
From the midterm. You got your campaign talking about stopping digital voter suppression and oppression, and so we got a lot of people, a lot of our Black folks. You know what I mean? We are up against crazy odds.
Yes.
Getting folks out to the polls. Tomorrow, I'm going to be kicking off like a week of talking about, you know, the importance of going to the polls and having these discussions, but in the digital space, where propaganda has been used on these digital platforms, Black folks I think some Black folks are just losing it because they're consuming so much misinformation.
Yes.
About the issues, the candidates, and all of that. How do we navigate through all of that, Shireen? You know what I'm saying? Over these next 7 days, this is a crunch time for this election and for Black folks to get involved. How do we navigate through all the misinformation?
I try to work on that every single day, and it's really tough. I just want to say that really quickly. It's not easy. We're going through phases of, like I told you, the stereotypes. If it fits your stereotype, then you will believe it. If it's a knee-jerk emotional reaction, you'll just believe it. And we still have to do a lot more work on our own to do our own research, and not these, you know, like what we just saw. Even Elon Musk participated in sharing a false narrative from a fake outlet. There are outlets out there pretending to be Black people, and we have to remind ourselves that that's possible. And we can't do this without each other, and understanding that we may all have different perspectives because we're not a monolith. But the one thing I keep trying to tell my people, if they working this hard to come get you and keep you from voting, you got masked men out here with guns trying to keep you from dropping off at a drop box to vote.
Right.
They're like, if like what we're listening to in the next couple of days about gerrymandering, Alabama is 27% Black, but they're telling us that we have to be represented as 14%. Why are they going to SCOTUS to make sure they don't have to fix Alabama for us to have the proper representation?
Yeah.
Sovereignty doesn't give us any of that. So I'm asking for us to pay close attention to anything that makes it look like we don't have the power to vote or change an election, because we've proven that that's false.
Absolutely.
Historically.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited about the midterms, and which is why I wanted to use this platform to encourage people to go out and to do what you need to do to vote, learn about the system, learn as much as you can about the candidates, make sure that they align with your values and your beliefs and your interests, and making sure that we are putting out good information to people online. Because a lot of us be, restream it, resharing and retweeting and a lot of stuff. It just be like, man, this is old stuff, man. This is either old or it's not right. It's not historically accurate. I mean, there's just a lot out there. And I'm looking at states like Georgia,
yes,
where you got, we got our sister Stacey Abrams, you got Herschel Walker out there, Raphael Warnock and Val Demings. Well, I'm looking at my home state of Maryland, Wes Moore's running. I'm looking at California, Gavin Newsom. I'm looking at Florida, Ron DeSantis and his crazy ass.
Don't forget Michigan and Gilchrist. Like we got.
Right. What about our brother Mandela Barnes?
Yes, we got people out here running.
Yeah. And I want people to rely on good information.
Yes.
Good information. So any quick tips that you can offer as we kind of go into this space? We see this change of leadership, and most important, we see in social media being very, very powerful. That's some things that you want us to consider as we move forward, Shireen.
I honestly have like 3 key things I try to tell people. If you see something that you feel the need to immediately retweet and reshare, pause. Don't do it. Like that visceral reaction is what they're after, and that's on purpose. That's not a mistake. The second thing is, if you see disinformation, you can do something about it. I talk about truth sandwiches. Like, tell the truth at the top. Make sure you respond to the mis and disinformation, which is based on the kernel of truth, but follow it back up with truth. And then the third thing, out of all of this, I try to repeat over and over again, any information that basically makes it look like you don't know how to vote if you decide to go vote, go back to your state website and do your own research to make sure how you can and cannot vote. I still think it's amazing that we can have laws in place that keep people from getting water or even talking to each other in line. But we can't say anything about the guy who's gun-toting watching the Dropbox. Right? That's what I'm saying. Please, like, those should be alarm bells. And you should pause and actually think about like what your reaction should be.
There it is. I love it. And Corinna, you said something very powerful, another powerful statement from my sister. She said, social media has killed the intellectual capabilities of folks. I was on a trip with 5 other ladies waiting to catch our flight. And she said her friend was latched onto IG whole time, barely spoke to us. Insanity.
That's what I'm talking about. That's messed up. Like you can't even be in real time with the people around you. That would probably be my number 4. Like, some of that stuff you need to stop looking at, right? Because people are giving you a mask of what their life is really like, while you're literally sitting in front of people that you're living with and experiencing real time. Yeah. And most of those TikToks, I've been in many places watching people who I know are doing TikToks. And I'm like if anyone saw that, like saw the whole performance before the TikTok, they'd be like, this is not real. Because if you actually watch it while they're doing it, come on, they're making up a narrative. We're in made up narrative spectrum, and we need to fix that. We need to be honest about that.
Woo, that's a whole nother conversation. Sister.
Another conversation for
That's a
another
whole nother
day.
conversation. It's Halloween though, so it's the spirit of this is the season to protect.
Exactly.
Take off your mask, folks.
Take your masks off. Like, some of this stuff is real. Like, let's have the real conversation. Some of this stuff is completely made up and complete false narratives. And we're having a hard time discerning between those two things. That's why we're having a hard time.
There it is. Shireen, I appreciate you so much, sis, for jumping on. How can people find more information about the work you're doing online?
Yeah, so you can always follow me, Digital Sister, on just about everything. Follow our website, Stop Online VAWA. It's the stoponlinevaw.com. You can find all of our reports, all the things that we're actually participating in, our infographics that we have been sharing about the HBCUs, about the Roe overturn, about all the things I think are important to our community. I make sure that what I want people to realize, what we try to do is make sure that we're highlighting what happens to us in conjunction with the data and the facts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shireen, thank you so much for joining us today. Always appreciate you and your great insight and expertise. Y'all can also check out Shireen on RMU Roland Martin Unfiltered, and she also is always providing some great stuff. Look at this, folks. Stop Online Violence Against Women. You can check out her website right there. Beautiful site. And they're talking about everything from disinformation, of the disinfo detox, to digital voter suppression and stopping that effort. Man, oh man, a lot is happening with our sister. And I'm so grateful she is able to spend some time with us. I hope Brother Roland knows I'm going to be calling you back on. So I'm just letting you know.
He knows. I'm 100% sure. He's called me every once in a while too. So thank you for just having me on. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Shireen, thank you so much, sis, for the work, and certainly thank you for being so good for the culture.
Thank you. I'm here for the culture. I live for the culture.
Don't wait till November 8th. We can vote today, y'all. Early vote started this week.
We're on Savannah State University's campus. We will be dorm storming today, giving out treats for everyone. We hope to see everyone at the polls when it comes to November.
If you believe we got power, let them know. Make some noise. Put a fist up. I need to see a fist in the air because we got power. Come on, you put it up. Come get your shirt. We're out here in the streets of Savannah, Georgia. James, do not forget to go vote. I got you. If we vote the right people in, we can make a change. We can get these resources in our community.
I am a woman, and it is important that we have the say-so of what we want to do with our bodies.
We're concentrating on entrepreneurism, providing young people with resources and training that they need in order to change their trajectories. We want Black down.
Democracy is on the ballot. Voting rights is on the ballot. Voting suppression is on the ballot. I am most passionate about those three combined because they all impact each other.
Savannah is my home. I care about my community, and I care about representation in my community.
Our voices are still going to be heard no matter what kind of obstacles try to come up against us to stop us from voting. We're still going to be standing our ground.
I see the effort that's being made to keep our communities from voting. So that makes me realize it's even more important, because if it wasn't important, they wouldn't be fighting to make sure we couldn't vote.
This doesn't stop this year. This is a forever movement.
We're going to exert our power as a people, walk in our rightful place. We're going to change our communities, fight for our communities, and build our communities.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. For our final conversation, I wanted to bring to light a monologue that got the internet on fire, and it's from none other than legendary comedian, and I think we can say that at this point, legendary, iconic comedian Dave Chappelle, as he hosted this weekend Saturday Night Live with musical guest Black Star. I know a Black Star. We're going to talk about that. But let me just say this very quick before we get into that conversation. Make sure y'all support us. Make sure y'all support us. Keenan, Ariel, let's throw that up there. Let them know how y'all can support Black Star Network. If you've been enjoying the discussion so far, we need your support right here. This is the type of support. This is the type of conversations. This is the type of talk that we have on this platform. Your support makes all the difference in the world, as Brother Roland said. So go to blackstarnetwork.com, support us, make sure you support us. make sure you support us. And also follow us at Black Star Network on IG and Twitter as well. Now, you can also follow me, yours truly, Faraji Muhammad. You can find me on The Real Faraji on IG and Faraji on Twitter and Faraji Muhammad on Facebook. I would love to connect with you and continue to build with you as we're still building our community called the Culture Crew. All right. So thank you in advance for your support. All right. Let's talk about Dave Chappelle very quickly. Brother Michael and Hotep, B Fly, joining us in this conversation as they've been doing for this show today. I want to play a little bit. I wonder if we can play. Yeah, I want to play a few minutes of what Dave Chappelle had to say as he hosted this weekend Saturday Night Live. Take a look.
Thank you very much for being here. But before I start tonight, I just wanted to read a brief statement that I prepared. I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time. I gotta tell you guys, I've probably been doing this 35 years now. And early in my career, I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence. And those words are the and Jews. I've never heard someone do good after they said that. Kanye's gotten into some scrapes before. Normally when he's in trouble, I pull up immediately. But this time I was like, you know what? Let me see what's gonna happen first. I just want to see where this is all going. Can't you remember how it started? Vaguely, I remember it started with a tweet, strange tweet. It was like, I'm feeling a little sleepy. I'm gonna give me some rest, but when I wake up, I'm gonna go DEFCON 3 on the Jews. And then he just went to bed. I was up all night worried. What is he gonna do to the Jews?
Oh my God, I was so worried that night.
Wait, let me just say this. Let me say this, y'all. Let me say this. The monologue is about 13 minutes long, a little bit over 13 minutes. And I have to say, Brother Michael B., I've listened to Dave Chappelle. He is a true master of the art of comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like every joke delivered in such a way, I was dying, brother. I was dying. And this is a real situation. This is we're seeing, of course, we got Kanye, we see Kyrie Irving, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan just did a major address to talk about this larger controversy. But Dave Chappelle is able to use his space and his lane that he did to speak at it in such a way that he still got across. Y'all can't talk bad about the Jews, but you can talk bad about black folk, or you can diminish the struggle of black people. There was one part, and if you haven't seen it, I'm not gonna give it away. But there was one part of it. He said, y'all know I work in Hollywood. I've been to Hollywood, and there are a lot of Jews.
Right.
A lot.
Right. That's an observation. That's not anti-Semitism. That's an observation.
That's anti-Semitism, brother.
And he said, just because there's a lot of black people in Ferguson, he said that don't mean that they run the place. See, he was showing a comparison. So I watched the whole monologue. It's on Saturday Night Live's YouTube channel, so people can go watch it. It was brilliant, but at the same time, I was surprised SNL let him use the N-word more than once.
Mm.
So they let him use the N-word on SNL, but you had writers, you had a few writers who boycotted and didn't want to participate on the show because Dave Chappelle was on, because I guess because of his transgender jokes, things like this. So how is it that you have a fear of saying something that's anti-Semitic, but he can use the N-word on broadcast television with impunity?
Right.
See,
great question.
So we
Great
have
question.
different standards.
The white supremacy is so real. And the irony is that like they hide behind white supremacy, but are totally embedded within white culture, you know? And so Whoopi Goldberg was literally suspended from the show that she produced. She's the producer
of The View.
Okay. And she made a very clear observation. There is, when you're discussing race, when you are submitting your demographics, there is no Jewish box. They check white. And because of that, she literally got suspended from her own.
Well, it was something similar. She was saying that she was saying that what Hitler did to the Jews in Germany, she said it was about race. Okay.
Yeah.
But actually they were the Germans looked at the Jews as being an inferior race because they're European. The Jews are European also. Okay. But it wasn't the racism that we have in the US. She was looking at it through the lens of the racism in the US and not understanding that the Germans saw the Jews as being an inferior race. Okay. Not like we have racism here in the US. So she apologized. She made a mistake. She wasn't trying to hurt anybody. She's not anti-Semitic. She apologized.
Of course not. Of course, her last name is Goldberg.
Well, her last name could be Jackson. It's still that she wasn't trying to hurt anybody. Okay. But then to punish her, the head of ABC suspended her for 2 weeks, which is stupid. It's like treating her like a child. Okay. She made a mistake. But what happens is the history of the Holocaust is not taught in schools today. A lot of people don't understand the nuances, and what gets left out. There's about 50,000 Afro-Germans that were killed or were sterilized. Experiments were done on by Hitler and the Nazis as well, and that does not get talked about when we have the National Day of Remembrance of the Holocaust, January 17th, things like this. It gets totally left out. Now, the information is at the U.S. Holocaust Museum's website. They have a whole section dealing with what was done to the Afro-Germans and how Afro-Germans were killed, etc. But when you have the commemorance, the National Day of Remembrance, okay, they don't bring that up. So we have to understand that history so we can force that conversation as well. Okay, so because you can't leave that out. Yes, we can talk about 6 million Jews. We can talk about the others, the Gypsies and the Romanians, things like this. But you can't leave out the Afro-Germans that were killed and sterilized also.
So let's talk about does a skit, or not a skit, a monologue that Dave Chappelle performs, national audience, right? I mean, this is Saturday Night Live, but the content about anti-Semitic, I mean, people are laughing. It almost seems like people are laughing at Jewish people for being upset with Kanye, right? Or people are laughing at Jewish people. Does that, and the reason I think this is kind of interesting, but does that put it out there, like from Dave Chappelle's point of view, like, look, I'm going to show y'all the craziness, the foolishness of this whole situation, right? But does that kind of like water down the Jewish stance on this conversation? I'm gonna start with you with that one, Brother Michael.
Well, here's the thing: if you have people who are less than 2% of the population,
facts,
and 6 million of them were at least 6 million of them were killed by the Nazis, and they flee to the U.S. for refuge and things like this, right? And also at the same time, 2021, you had a huge 2020 and 2021, you had a huge increase in hate crimes as well as hate crimes against Jews. Okay, the Jewish community. Okay, so I can understand people have a heightened sense when it comes to hate speech and things like this. Okay. Kanye West, I don't think Kanye West is anti-Semitic. I don't think Kanye West hates Jews. He needs to take his medication, but I don't think he hates Jews. I wouldn't have made some of the comments that Kanye made because it can make you sound, it can make you sound stupid or something like that. But one of the things he said that did make sense and is factual was he showed the names of the heads of major studios in Hollywood, in media, things like this. Okay. Now, it's not anti-Semitic to say that they're Jews. I mean, it's factual. Okay. Now, I don't know. It may have been 25, 30 names. Okay. Now, I don't know in total how many media companies and Hollywood companies there are. Say there are 150. Okay. Right. If you got 40 that are headed by Jews, for you to say that's not anti-Semitic, it's factual. Okay. So a lot of this, man, we have to really separate being anti-Semitic and being against people as opposed to just stating facts. But then at the same time, we got to say, well, wait a second, hold on. Now, if you putting out dehumanizing music about African Americans, because we're the only ones you could put out dehumanizing music about. Do you realize you can't make a song about killing dogs, but you can make a song about killing black people? We're the only ones that you can say anything you want to about. You can call us an N-word, dehumanizing names. So we got to go after, and I don't make a big distinction between white people and Jews because they're all Europeans to me. I don't have time to differentiate. Okay. Right. They're all Europeans to me, and we're dealing with white supremacy. But if you're going to talk about anti-Semitism, then we got to talk about those in Europeans, period, who put out negative corporate controlled hip hop that dehumanize African people as well. We got to deal with all,
bro. Hey, and that's the point. Hey, brother Michael, that's the nail on the head, brother. I mean, the head on the nail. That's the point. That at the end of the day, right? Saying that a certain group of people is overseeing certain institutions in Hollywood or in music or arts and entertainment, or even having a conversation. This is all truth. Here's the thing, folks. This is not made up. This is truth. This is truth, and we got to stand on truth.
Right.
And I think that's the point. Let me take a quick comment from one of our online culture crew members, Marcus Atkins. Marcus, you said Chappelle basically said that Ye and Irving should have known the consequences of their actions, but at the same time, blacks should not be blamed of what happened in history.
Yeah, that's something that Dave Chappelle was saying. He's saying, wait a second now. You can't blame Kyrie. He's talking about Kyrie Irving. He said you can't blame Kyrie for the Holocaust against Jews. And so once again, one of the things that we have to do, that the Jewish community does, is that when people say things that they perceive are negative about the Jewish community, they come out in full force. The ADL comes out in full force. We need to do the same thing. Okay.
Right. That's a point. That's a point.
It may be a lot of us not employed.
Hey, look.
But
here's the thing. Here's the other thing. And I'm sure Brother Michael and B, y'all will both appreciate this because y'all understand history. When I was listening to Minister Farrakhan giving his defense of Kanye and Kyrie, he said, Kyrie is a brother who's on a journey, who's trying to find himself. And in that pursuit, he is coming across information about history,
right,
and understanding where black folks, the relationship that black folks have had with the Jewish people. Now, the history speaks to the fact that during the transatlantic slave trade, Jewish people, this is not anti-Semitism, you can find this in the book, Jewish people were merchants. Jewish people were some of the ones who were able to capitalize off of our chattel slavery. Now, if we go, let's keep it a buck. The Nation of Islam put out a book called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. Volume 1, Volume 2, and now Volume 3. All these 3 volumes are actually pieces that Jewish scholars have put together that the nation combined, but these are writings from Jewish scholars about their own people. Look, this ain't anti-Semitism, this is facts.
Right.
So when we have these conversations, right, you have to look at the truth of a situation first before you just jumping into an emotional space and calling somebody anti-Semitic. Because guess what? Black folks have been called a lot of things except the child of God.
Yep.
And we got to take those hits. We take those hits from ourselves and we take those hits from other people. And at this point in time, enough got to be enough, man. We can have a conversation. If Jewish scholars, if Jewish historians, if Jewish people were to sit down with a Michael Imhotep, Dr. Carr, and other Black scholars and look at the history, sit down with, Black religious leaders and look at the history. Come on, man. Then the relationship will improve.
Though.
Go ahead,
the issue for Raji is that Black academics are literally akin to like the Hutu Tutsi whole like ethnic cleansing. That's literally what Black academics do. They pit one Negro against the other, and it's like, you're a bad Negro. Oh no, you're a bad Negro. You need to be like this good Negro. And that process in public within our academic exchange is so polarizing. It's so wet. It's so like it literally takes our sacred selves and diminishes ourselves in front of everyone. And so, like this process that we have in debating the worth of Kanye West, in debating the worth of Kyrie, when someone says something out of their mouth, like that's the process that should be curtailed, like should end with Black people. Like we need to stop centering the white supremacist narrative and literally understand how most of us are spitting that same shit at each other all the time, with coded in respectability politics. And so until we're able to disassociate from that and see the human perspective, the human spectrum of us, because we are not a monolith and we're also not just Democrat, Republican. Like we are vast, and it is okay to disagree. It is okay to not bang with another person. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay, like to not like your cousin. But what's not okay is for you to literally diminish your cousin and then get upset when someone else does. Like if you don't speak sacred of your cousin, then how is your enemy ever supposed to learn? And it's not even that they the enemy, they're the lesser. Like we're talking about the recessive. We're talking about the recessive versus the dominant. Like the dominant needs to understand how to actually conduct themselves with each other. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what's happening. Like, and so this Black academic conversation that keeps on diminishing Black bodies, Black minds, is literally the same shit that Bill Cosby did. And it's not okay. It's not okay. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I stand up for Kanye every day, because at the end of the day, like, if I'm going to stand up for my brother, I'm going to stand up for Kanye. If I'm going to stand up for my man, I'm going to stand up for Kanye. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to stand up for myself, then I'm going to stand up for him. You know what I'm saying? And especially if I'm going to go to war with the supremacy for each other, for us. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to agree with all of my people in order to still ride for my people.
No,
when are we going to be able to actually like communicate like that and stand firm in that in public?
So B-Fly, you're talking about African Americans in media, like I know Charles Barkley and others. You're talking about those who are putting down.
I'm talking about the Black academics, Black media, Black watchers, Black social media.
You're talking about them putting down Kanye?
Talk, the entire conversation. And it's not, and we're using Kanye and Kyrie right now as examples, but every 5 years this happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not the first time at the rodeo. This is not the first time Black people
Right.
have been divided as a family. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So you're
even
saying they're
when
using them to chastise African Americans? Is that what you're saying?
yes, it's the buck system. It's the black buck system. Like, you can't get out of line. And the moment you
Oh,
get
okay,
out of
okay.
line, not only is the white supremacy
Right.
going to put you in place, but your people are going to be used to
Okay.
keep you in place also. And this
Right.
idea, this part is what diminishes the full value of us in the Afro future actually coming together to do a damn thing together. You know what I'm saying?
Just very
So
quickly.
go ahead, bro, Michael.
Yeah, just very quickly. I posted about this on my fan page, the African History Network. He got like about 5,000 likes, something like this. I said, Kanye. I'm not a big fan of Kanye, but you know, even a broken clock is right twice a day. But that don't mean you should use that clock to tell time by. But Kanye did not lose one single sponsor when he said slavery sounded like a choice. He didn't lose Adidas. Okay, when he said that a few years ago, and I think it was 2018, when he said slavery sounded like a choice, he didn't lose a single sponsor. What he should have said was slavery was a choice for white people. White people chose to enslave Africans. White people chose to build ships. White people chose to take out insurance policies on those ships. White people chose to have insurance companies. They chose to auction us off, things like this. Slavery was a choice for white people. Okay, so that's what he should have said.
Well, here's the thing about this. How do we get to a place as we wrap up the show? Because this is so big and this is an ongoing controversy right now. Kyrie Irving, of course, he was given a number of steps that he has to take or he has to do in order to get in the good graces of the Brooklyn Nets. Some
crazy.
people are saying, and it's absolutely insane.
It's crazy.
Even though the New York Times posted, and I posted this on my story. The New York Times put it out there that he met with Commissioner Adam Silver, who runs the NBA. And Adam Silver, a Jewish man, said, after conversations with Kyrie, I came to the judgment that Kyrie is not anti-Semitic. And guess what? I put that headline out there, and I said, and asked the question, I wonder if this will make a difference. I wonder if this will make a difference. Say it again, please.
If Black people don't have the economic power to be racist, then how the hell can Black people be anti-Semitic? Like, the conversation is juvenile. Like, it doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, the idea is phony, which tells me something else. You know, it tells me that the powers that be are literally in power based off of a lie. And as soon as that lie gets whispered, off with his head, off with his head. Like, at the end of the day, it's if we're going to legitimize this is 48 laws of power. Rule number 1, trying to outshine the master. And so if your master is a white supremacist Jew, then you can't, this person has to stay cloaked, because at the end of the day, they're not the majority. They're the vast minority. And so what happens when the double recessive actually loses power? They're afraid. You know what I'm saying? They're afraid that at the end of the day, Black people aren't true humanists. And I believe that we are.
Oh, we definitely are.
You know what I'm saying? And so I don't believe that we're going to, given an opportunity, subjugate our now oppressors. Like, that's not how we're rooted on the inside. You know what I'm, and so, but that's the fear. That's the fear. And so whenever it's whispered, off with the head. And so, but you can only get your head cut off when you're literally still in bed with the enemy. And so that's why the power is on our own platforms, our own .com, our own stratosphere. You know, like, we can actually do it. The moment we divest from SNL and actually allow other people to subscribe to DaveChappelle.com, that's come through. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would do that. And so it's like, but we're not given that opportunity because most of our leaders are literally sucking on the tit of the oppressors still in order to reach their own economic goals.
Right. That's why that's why our major organizations can't be funded by corporate America. And I do understand we spend money with corporate America. If maybe you can get some money that don't have strings attached to it, okay. But if the strings attached to it, you can't do that, because when it comes time, see, this is why one of the mistakes that we made was not having economic boycotts against these corporations that finance Republicans that voted against the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. If there was about 150 corporations that signed on to a bill. It was in, I think, July 2021. They signed on to a letter stating their support for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, right? But their support stopped there. We should have taken the top 3 or 4 corporations and put economic pressure on them to tell the Republicans that you help finance to vote for the bill. Otherwise, you're going to remove economic support from them. April 3rd, 1968, Dr. King said we have to redistribute the pain through targeted, sustained economic withdrawal strategies. We didn't do that, okay? And a lot of these, civil rights organizations, things like this, they get funding from these corporations, so they can't turn around and bite the hand that feeds them. That's why we got to have another force that can deal with corporations like that. We need like some Bumpy Johnsons. We need another force that can deal with them and push the other ones to the side. You may be good for, this over here. You don't use every tool for every job, but you got to have another force, another group that can deal with corporations and put pressure on them when the other ones will not, because they get funding from them.
Hey, look, I'm convinced, Brother Michael B. I'm convinced. If Black folks follow the blueprint that the Jewish leaders and power brokers of this country move by, we'll have a different relationship, not just with the Jewish community. We'll have a different relationship with the whole world. I'm convinced of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You said it at the beginning of your remarks, Brother Michael. You got organizations like the Anti-Defamation League. You got organizations that others, when they hear something, they come right out at it. When Black folks hear something, we go into debate.
Well, brother, this is why
we go into debate, and then guess what? All that infighting, we can't even come out the room, because we can go in. Okay, let's debate whether we should say something or not. But we go into a debate, and we go in the back room, and then when we come out, we ain't even. And next thing you know,
I'll leave it right here. This is why I came out so hard. This is why I came out so hard against the song WAP by Cardi B featuring Megan Thee Stallion, because a white corporation named Atlantic Records financed that and financed the video, and they were only Negroes would do something like that. They would never have a top white female artist has sexually explicit lyrics like that, and then the bass line repeats the phrase "there's some whores in this house" about 79 times. Okay, no other ethnic group would tolerate something like that except us. And then it wins an American Music Award, and the Grammy becomes Song of the Year. That was a terrible year if your top song was WAP. Okay. And it's not. No, let me leave it right there. Okay,
let's just leave it right there. Let's leave it right there. Look, I gotta jump off.